Okay, Ralph, you're good.
Thank you, Brian.
You're
All
welcome.
right, good evening, everyone. At this time, we will reconvene the Wall Township Board of Education meeting for November 17th, 2020. Mr. Smythe, could we have a roll call, please?
Apologize, it wasn't unmuted. Mr. Gartz?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
I'm here.
Mr. Krupa?
Here.
Ms. Mangan?
Here.
Mr. Nasser?
Here.
Mr. Sanfilippo?
Here.
Ms. Stites?
Here.
Mr. Wondrak?
Here.
Mr. Anesia?
Here. Thank you. All right, so we will skip right ahead because we don't have any presentations or student rep reports this evening. We are going to go President's Report and Students of the Month for the month of October. 9th grade was Zachariah Yates. 10th grade was Claudia Esquivel. 11 was Molly Houston, and 12th grade was Brendan Newberry. Nights of the week for the month of October in 12th grade was Hunter Pappas. 9th grade was Sage Santa Cruz. 11th grade was Isaiah Ruse, and 10th grade was Christopher Miller. So I'd like to say congratulations to all of them. And just, yes, good job on their part. And just something we haven't really touched on yet this year. A couple of our sports teams are having absolutely phenomenal year. Our girls soccer team is 14-0. They are undefeated. They play tomorrow at 2 o'clock for the NJSIAA Girls Soccer East B quarterfinal round. So we'd like to wish them luck. They play, I believe they're playing over on 18th Avenue, I think, possibly. I'm not, maybe. But we'll see if that information will be put up on the website. Our boys varsity soccer team, they won today in overtime, 2-1. Very cold out there today, even a little rain. They were down, they came back and won in overtime. So congratulations to them. They will be moving on. Also, our girls field hockey team, they're also undefeated. They were supposed to play today, but the game was canceled. I believe it was because of the other team had some COVID issues. I'm not sure exactly when they play again, but just incredible seasons on all their part. And this Friday night, our varsity football team will be playing, again, they are undefeated, and they are playing for the championship on Friday night here at home, which is a nice little treat. We have some great athletes in our schools and wanted to recognize them tonight. And hopefully they all bring home those nice championship plaques that we can hang in the school one day when things get a little back to normal. And certainly we can recognize them. That's all right, Chris. We can recognize them at a board meeting and really recognize their abilities. And you know, we wish everybody well going into these final couple of games that they're going to all be playing. And with that, that is all I have. So we will move on to Dr. Handerham.
Thank you, Mr. Adizio. Congratulations. It's a great week to be a knight, clearly. Congratulations to all. And I'd like to start by thanking all of you that participated in last night's presentation / Q&A with Dr. Lynch regarding the high school's South Gym floor. For those of you that were not able to see the presentation, a video is posted on our district website. Also, the report discussed is available on our district website under facilities updates. On this facilities updates page, you can also see the complete battery of testing done, including those conducted by Partner Engineering upon learning of the presence of mercury this summer. Partner Engineering tests were completed prior to Dr. Lynch's comprehensive assessment. Following the initial test where we found that mercury was detected in South Gym floor, additional testing was immediately ordered. This summer, the subsequent partner engineering assessments indicated that the South Gym was indeed safe to use under the New Jersey standards. The Board of Education and District Administration communicated with the WTEA Safety Committee and the Work Environmental Council, or WEC, on next steps to collect additional environmental data sets through further assessments. Getting a second opinion was deemed a priority. The Finance and Facilities Committee recommended and the Board of Education supported securing the services of industrial hygienist Dr. Richard Lynch. The administrative decision, and I want to say that it was an administrative decision and emphasize that, the administrative decision was made to not use the South Gym until further testing indicated for a second time that South Gym was indeed safe to use for our students and staff. So even though we had lab testing that permitted us to use the South Gym, it was determined we wanted more data. We wanted a second opinion, and we did not open the South Gym because we wanted another assessment done. And that's when I refer to an administrative decision. That was a collective decision to get some more information. Based upon the comprehensive testing completed by Dr. Lynch, and I'm quoting from his report here, it is his professional opinion that the airborne mercury levels within Wall Township High School South Gym do not present any imminent health risk to students or staff at the levels measured. In accordance with the guidance from the New Jersey Department of Health, the gym is safe for use by students and staff at the levels measured. Dr. Lynch recommends that periodic air monitoring should be repeated at a minimum quarterly, beginning in December 2020, when the heating system requires that the gym's overhead air handler modulates into the heating mode. The Board of Education is committed to monitoring conditions in the South Gym closely and will follow Dr. Lynch's recommendations to ensure a safe environment for students and staff. These future monitoring reports will be shared through the district's website. Because South Gym was deemed safe after comprehensive and independent testing, I am pleased to share that the gym may now be open. I would also like to provide a district-wide COVID-19 update to the Wall community. As of today, November 17th. Since September, across the K-12 spectrum, the district has confirmed 34 positive cases and 2 presumed positive cases, for a total of 9 staff members and 27 students. To my knowledge, absolutely no cases have been connected to school transmission. In the younger grades, most, again, like the last time I reported, most cases have been connected to a COVID positive parent. In the upper grades, most transmissions have been linked to non-school related organized activities. In K-5, we have 10 reported cases. In grades 6 through 8, we have 10 reported cases. And in grades 9 through 12, we have 14 reported cases. These numbers also include the all virtual students that the numbers have been assigned to the appropriate grade band for those particular students. I would like to thank district school nurses and administrators for all of their efforts in contact tracing, working with families regarding logistics related to quarantine, and supporting our staff. I would also like to thank all faculty and staff for all of their efforts during the last 3 months. They have continued to educate and support the children of this district under such unprecedented circumstances, and I remain very grateful to them. I also ask everyone to please remain vigilant in protecting yourselves by maintaining proper social distancing, washing hands regularly, and continue wearing face masks as appropriate throughout this holiday season. I do hope that you and your families have a wonderful, wonderful, and very, very special Thanksgiving. We do have a lot to be thankful for. Mr. Adonisio?
Thank you, Dr. Hammer. At this time, any Anybody on the board have any Board of Education updates they'd like to share this evening? No? Okay, seeing none. All right, at this time, we will open up for public comment on agenda items only. We ask that you give your name for the record and the number of the agenda item that you would like to discuss so we can reference it.
Hi, Betsy Cross. I just clicked on lower my hand 10 seconds ago. Just want to be sure that anybody else that had done it sooner was skipped over before me. Thank you for your update, Dr. Handerhan, on the mercury. I did have some questions that I asked last night, and I've been asking them, I think, for 5 months now. And hoping that you're going to get back to me. I have been Googling 3M, and I'm hoping that you're going to.
Ms. Cross, do you have questions on the agenda for this evening?
Well, Dr. Handerhan just spent her time going over it should have been an agenda item since she just went over this information. And there were so few people on the call last night. I just want to let you know that I was
agenda item because the board is not taking action on it. So do you have agenda items you'd like to discuss?
Well, I'd like to go over what she just went over. She just went over the report.
Yeah, it's not the time for that, Ms. Cross.
So you're going to give me an extra 5 minutes for that? Yeah. All right, let's go over the health benefits. I brought up some items last month, Mr. Adonisio, and it's a month has passed and you have not gotten back to me. You approved a number of items. I see you have a payment there for Jack Hahn that you all approved. And I'm just wondering if you could go over what we were paying Jack Hahn for, and do you have the bills that I can Oprah and you can let me know what that was for. Health benefits, if you could go over where you're at with that on your health benefits claims. The numbers are pretty steep. So Mr. Smythe said he didn't have a problem with them, but they were in line, but they were 100 times more than they were a year ago last month. And I got nothing back in writing from anyone, which is not unusual. I did follow up with Christine Stites today and Erin Mangan, and I did not hear back. Bob Allison, I see, was paid $5,000. If you could go over tonight what you're paying him for. Hague Service Corp, $29,926. If you can let me know what that is. Mark Francescasini, I see you're paying him. Eileen Honahan. It gets out of hand when we continue to pay all these people that are no longer employed. I know it was in their contract, but we can't have Board of Ed members doing things that just make absolutely no sense for the taxpayers, which happens over and over again. I see Mr. Gross looks like he's being paid $2,170 and you're approving it tonight for August. Can you let me know why? Because our new attorney started in July. Health benefit expenditures. I'm not sure if this was last month or this month, but I wrote down $2,137,000. And if you could just go over where you're at with the health benefits. And Jack Hahn's payment. If you could go over what we were paying Jack Hahn for. And I hope somebody can reach out to Jack Hahn on this, maybe on this Mercury gym floor, and reach out to Mr. Habel, because I think there's a lot of questions here on how in the world Wall Township purchased.
That's not on the agenda for this evening.
Right. Well, it's going to be on the agenda because aren't you paying people? You're paying environmental. What I don't want to be stuck on the hook for as a taxpayer is every quarter paying this company to come in to do testing for us. So no, every month, you have payments on here for these companies that are doing all of this testing. So yes, I have every right to ask what you're doing. And 5 months later, I still don't have answers to simple questions on how Wall bought this floor. It would be like buying a 757 from Boeing if you were told not to buy them anymore.
The floor is not on the agenda this evening.
So Mr. Smythe needs to start answering some questions. And I think it was
Mr. Smythe responds to your questions. He fulfills every OPA request that you do.
No, he doesn't. I'm waiting for so many Oprahs. I just followed up again today. Do you read
Agenda items,
emails,
please.
Mr.
Let's move
Adonisio?
on.
Because you
Ms.
got,
Cross, agenda items.
I'm asking for questions. I just gave you a whole list of them. So before you vote to approve those payments, you can answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Cortez?
Hello, my name is Mike Cortez. I have a few questions and comments. The most important issue this year is how does the BOE keep the children in school for in-person learning? We know that remote learning does
Mr.
not.
Cortez, this is on agenda items. So it sounds like what you're talking about would be the second public comment.
Okay, I
All
will raise my hand then.
Okay, did you have anything for agenda items or?
No, I just didn't want to miss the opportunity, so I will wait till later.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else for agenda items only? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment and we will move on to number 13, approval of the secretary's minutes.
Hey, Ralph?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Earl.
I know, I know we go through this every month, but there's a couple of things that one of the callers one of the callers mentioned, and I just, I think sometimes some of this stuff we need to kind of, answer when we know the answer. And there's a couple of these questions that I think we do know the answers to, like why is Michael Gross's firm being paid? I think that's a simple one that, we had, and Dr. Hanrahan can explain that there were some open special ed cases that his firm was involved in, that the new attorney and the board thought that they should continue to handle that to the conclusion of those cases, instead of trying to switch it over to the new attorney. So there was some legacy things that were being finished up that Michael Gross's firm handled for us. So that would be why some of the bills were late. So anything, am I right on that, doctor? That was portrayed to us. Okay. Do you know if there's any open, doctor, do we know if there's any other additional special ed cases that Michael Gross's firm is still working on? Or
I believe we've transitioned over. There may be one, but I think that might have been resolved.
Okay. And then I know Mr. Smythe went into some detail explaining why we're not 100 times more than last year at this time. And I don't know, I know we're probably preaching to the choir, but Brian, could you just briefly just explain that again? Because when you explained it last time, it made perfect sense to me, and just hoping some of the people on the call will be able to to understand it maybe this time.
Well, and just so everybody understands too, this was all discussed at our workshop meeting in public last week.
Right, but I'm hoping Brian can give a Reader's Digest version of why, why that is. Why it looked like it. If you're not familiar with the reports, why it would look like we're spending 100 times more this year than last year.
Yeah, well, with regard to action items, because it's not specific to which one, whether it's the board secretary's report, but I think what was referenced was the bills list. We do have Horizon, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, we're self-insured, and we are making payments to them. And those payments are in line with what we budgeted for the claims that the district pays, because we're in fact self-insured. And actually, with regard to the payment of claims for the prior month, I'd have to update it with the current, that we are actually at a point where we've paid less claims than we did this time last year. The difference is when you look at the board secretary's report, because what we transitioned to last year was from paying claims to Horizon on a monthly basis, or maintaining funds on account with Horizon to reimburse the account on a monthly basis, to moving to reimbursing the account on a weekly basis. So that reduced the amount of funds that we needed to maintain on account with Horizon from $1.9 million as an approximate number to about $236,000 because we're reimbursing the account on a weekly basis as opposed to a monthly basis. Horizon pays the claims as our third-party administrator from that account, and then we replenish it as we get billed. So because we transitioned from a monthly billing cycle to a weekly, we had credit with Horizon, so the claims were being paid with the funds that were in the account, and they therefore weren't reflected as an expense on our board secretary's report. Plus, the transition with Horizon going from monthly to weekly was a significant change for them, so therefore their billing lagged with regard to when they were actually billing the district, and they were being posted to our general ledger and therefore reflected on the board secretary's report. But from a comparison standpoint, because we view claims being paid on a monthly basis from this year to last year, we're within our budgeted number for our 6-month projection from June through December. And as I stated, as of the third week in October, we were actually at a point where our claims for the current year were less than they were for the prior school year. So that's what I meant when I stated that we were within our budgetary numbers. And although the dollars may be significant compared to some of the monthly claims that we experience or bills we experienced in the end of the year last year, the last 3 months when we were in the midst of the pandemic and individuals were not going to the doctor, our claims were down significantly, which ended with a surplus, which was discussed at the board meetings at length, and what that would mean for our balance and health benefits at the end of the year. But as it currently stands, we're comfortable with the board secretary's report and the claims that we're paying Horizon on the bills list. With regard to any other payments that would be on the bills list for former district employees or district administrators, those payments are being made in accordance with the contracts those individuals had with the district at the time they were employed. And the other question with regard to the auditor that we're paying is because the firm is performing the audit and they did a partial billing to the district for the work they performed to date.
Thank you, Mr. Schlein.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on. Number 13, approval of the board secretary's minutes. Could I have a motion for the workshop meeting of October 13th, the executive session October 13th, the executive session of October 27th, and the business meeting of October 27th?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Wondrek. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gartz. Roll call, Mr. Smythe.
You're on.
All right, Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Krupa, Mr. Krupa,
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Mangan,
Yes.
Mr. Nasser,
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
Ms. Stites,
Yeah.
Mr. Wondrak,
Yes.
and Mr. Adenizio.
Yes, thank you. Policy number 14. Could I have a motion on policy 1620, 1648, 1648.02, 1648.03, 5330.05, regulation 5330.05, 6440, 8320, regulation 8320. Could I have a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Second.
Second by Ms. Stites. I will now open this up for public hearing on any one of these topics that these policies. Seeing none, I will close public comment. Can we have a roll call, Mr. Schmeith? Or no, right?
Yes,
That's
Mr.
roll
Hall,
call, sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Krupa,
Yes.
Ms. Mangan,
Yes.
Mr. Nasser,
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
Ms. Stites,
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak,
Yes.
Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
Mr. Addazio.
Yes, thank you. Could I have a motion on B under policy for 2622, 5111, regulation 5111, policy 5330.04, regulation 5330.04, 5610, regulation 5610, and 5620 for second reading? Could we have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Megan. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gartz. I will open it up to public hearing on any one of these for the second reading. Seeing none, we'll close public comment on that. Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Krupa,
Yes.
Ms. Mangan,
Yes.
Mr. Nasser,
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
thank you, Ms. Stites,
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak,
Yes.
Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
yes,
and Mr. Addazio.
Yes. Could I have a motion on number 15 under the Board of Education report?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gartz, second by Mr.
second.
Answer. Any discussion? Oh, seeing none, Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Sorry for clarification, who's the second?
Adam was.
Thank you. Ms. Mangan,
Yes.
Mr. Nasser,
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
thank you. Ms. Stites,
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak,
Yes.
Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
yes,
Mr. Krupa,
Yes.
and Mr. Addazio.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Hanrahan, number 16.
Okay, I would like a motion for approval by consent agenda for, I'm going to split this into, for item A, the human resources attachment HR1 with the revision of winter instead of fall. There was a typo. Again, this is for HR attachment HR1. It is to read winter instead of fall. And approval for agenda item A. And also, I would also like a motion for approval by consent agenda for items B through H. B through H.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gartz. Could we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Wondrak. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Nasser,
Yes.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
Ms. Stites,
Yes.
Mr. Wondrak,
Yes.
Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
yes,
Mr. Krupa,
I'd like to ask about the winter one. I would like to abstain from that item. I believe it's
A. Item A.
yeah, item A. Mhm.
all of item A
And there
or
was
all
a split.
of item A fall coaches? I mean, winter
No,
coaches.
yes, that's the
Item A,
one.
winter
I'm
coaches.
trying to figure out which item number it is. With 16A 10, I think it is. Is that right? Did I identify it
The
correctly?
resolution for winter
The
coaches.
winter sports, yes. I'd like to abstain from that. Thank you.
And yes on everything else.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Mangan
Yes.
and Mr. Addazio.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Smythe, number 17, business office. You're on mute, Mr. Smythe.
Sorry. Ask for a motion to approve items 17A through H by consent agenda.
Could we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Gartz, second. Could we have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Adam. Any discussion or questions? No? Seeing none, Mr. Smythe, roll call, please.
Mr. Sanfilippo,
Yes.
Ms. Stites,
Yes.
Mr. Londrack,
Yes.
Mr. Gartz,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Krupa,
Yes.
Ms. Mangan,
Yes.
Mr. Nasser,
Yes.
and Mr. Adenizio.
Yes. Okay. At this time, we will go to public comment on any school district item. Mr. Cortez?
Yes,
Yes, Digger.
now is the appropriate time to talk about open
Yes.
items.
Yes, just your name for the record again, please.
Mike Cortez.
Thank you.
As I said earlier, the most important issue this year is how does the BOE keep the children in school for in-person learning? We know that remote learning does not provide a thorough and efficient education for the children as required by the New Jersey Supreme Court. We also know that the COVID crisis is a crisis for elderly people, not children. Unfortunately, leaders throughout the state and the country have caved to the mass hysteria and enacted policies that punish our children while doing nothing for our elderly population. As the state and the country roll along the same wrong path that we did back in the spring, does the board have the backbone to stand strong and keep our children in school for the already reduced and insufficient time that they are currently in school? Do you recognize that just because other leaders may choose to fail because they lack the willpower to stand up for the children and stand up to the hysterics, that you don't have to follow that same path? Do you recognize that you have a huge responsibility right now to these children to keep them in school and to educate them? Do you recognize that the school's most paramount responsibility is to educate the children and every other aspect is secondary? Do you recognize that if you choose to fail the children, that you will be responsible for their worsening educational achievement and their worsening mental health? Do you recognize that if you choose to fail, many healthcare workers will be removed from the workforce because they have to stay home to provide care because you've locked the children out of school? Remember, our children need you to lead. They need you to stand up for them and to fight against the hysterics who would deny them an education. Now is the time to lead. Be the leader they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. I'd just like to say too that I personally agree with everything you're saying, and I think probably generally, pretty much to a certain extent, every member of the board and probably every teacher we have. I can tell you, yesterday we did have a meeting with the WTEA leadership and two of the nurses, and the nurses even believe that the best place for the students is in school. And they did say too, the numbers are rising, and that if we were, because I do understand, your point that we want kids in school full time or as much as possible, and certainly I don't think there's anybody out there that would disagree with that, because they certainly, you get more from school when you're there. That if we didn't have the schedule we have right now, the amount of people that would be quarantining at any one time, well, one, schools would probably be closed by now, but two, you would have, instead of maybe 3 students that could be in close contact with one student, you could be talking about 6 to 8 students, which would really disrupt a class, or even more depending where in a class they're sitting. So we certainly understand your points and everything else. And I don't know, Dr. Handerhan, did you want to, because I can tell you Dr. Handerhan every day prays that schools can stay open, and we are following that course to stay open. And, unfortunately, aside from uptick in cases that would force us to close because of the health department or the governor, that's our plan. But Dr. Handerhan, would you like to say anything about that?
I would actually, because I will say my goal has always been to get the kids back full time, and to get and in the cases of grades 6 through 12, to get the kids back 5 days a week. To do that, we would be encroaching on the 6 feet social distancing. When we have a positive case, there is a tremendous amount of contact tracing that goes into play. And Mr. Adenizio, you mentioned it when you mentioned that things are even dependent on where the student is positioned in the class. When you're talking about changing classes, and in the high school, when you're talking about changing classroom, you're talking about multiple scenarios. Unlike elementary school, where the students are assigned to one classroom each day, in in the secondary schools, the students travel from class to class. So we have to do contact tracing for each particular group. And there's upwards, we did some dry run calculations on an actual case. And had we had all of our kids back, we would have, instead of, we did not have to quarantine any of the students that were seated nearby in class because the distance was greater than 6 feet. If we had all the students back, we would have had to quarantine 16 students from this one case. So just to give you a sense, and the students are quarantined for 14 days. So it's, as much as we want students to come back 5 days a week, we would be in many ways cutting off our nose to spite our face. It's a difficult balance, and our goal is to be open. We want to be open. I'm not alone in my thinking, as you mentioned, Mr. Adonisio. So, the numbers are real. The contact tracing is real, and we have a duty to quarantine students. It's not that is not an administrative decision, quarantining students that were deemed in close contact. So, just to give you an actual just a data point on one of the cases that we did a mock run on with the contact tracing.
Thank you, Dr. Handler. Mr. Gartz, you had something?
Yeah, I would just like to say that while I agree that the students should be back as often as they can be, and 5 days a week would be great, and I personally believe that. This is a public school that gets public funds, that relies on the state for guidance and sets laws and rules and order. And I think the statement that we're choosing to fail is patently false and ridiculous. And I have no respect for the statement because the amount of hoops to jump through are so many, and that there's nobody on this board that I've worked with for the last 12 months that's choosing to fail. We all want the schools open. There's many, many challenges that we can't meet, so we can't open 5 days a week right now. That's the way it is. Hopefully we're coming to an end of this, and we'll continue to stay the course as best we can, but choosing to fail is patently false, and the public should know that.
Thank you. The one thing I've gotten is that our teachers want to teach, but we have an obligation and a duty to make sure everybody in the buildings are safe, staff, students, everybody. So, right now what we have is working. Clearly it's working much better than a lot of school districts in the state of New Jersey, and schools right around us within a couple miles. So, with that, we gotta give a big thank you to our nurses for the incredible job they're doing with the contact tracing, because of them, that's why we're probably still open and not in worse shape. So thank you to them, and to everybody that takes the time to fill out the health survey in the morning to make sure that, hey, you know what, I woke up with the sniffles. It's probably not the best thing to send my child to school today. As tough as that decision is to make, right now, because of the circumstances, it is the right decision. Okay, let's forge ahead.
Hi,
Ms.
Betsy
Cross?
Cross. I live in Wall Township. I just wanted to go over, Mr. Adonisio. On your agenda tonight, you have under item 10, high school South Gym update by the superintendent, which allowed me to talk about it. So again, here you are cutting people off. It's outrageous. Under 14A, Mr. Cortez should have been able to speak. You know why? Because you were talking about two policies on remote learning and the Restart Recovery Plan. I think you seem to forget this is a school district and you should be worried about the children, not cutting people off, which you do month after month. And that's why you will go down in history. Mr. Ralph Adonisio is the worst Board of Ed president ever. This is outrageous how you cut people off.
All right, Ms. Cross, month after month.
Don't waste my time. This is my time to talk. You talk on your time in your little circle that makes no sense, asking people what they think at the end. All right?
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, continue.
Yes. Thank
We
you.
appreciate your
And
comments.
I'm glad the investigation is continuing because my timeline will be sent to Mr. Anthony Scarillo, a number of other state agencies, and it will go into President Trump because I did send him in some information before. This is outrageous what's happening here. You actually had the Mercury gym floor in the lease agreement where we bought the moldy, disgusting trailers. Then you took it out and you can't show us where that lease agreement went. So now this Mercury gym floor needs to be investigated. It's outrageous to think that 5 months later, you still aren't even looking at the architect Ferrari FDF that we paid all this money to and hired them. How in the world did we buy this floor? Mr. Smythe, why don't you let us know tonight? Because you purchased the floor, I think it was the same night that Mr. Habel announced his retirement. It's outrageous. So figure out how we bought this floor, and you better start suing people or you are out for sure going to be sued. I guarantee you. It's outrageous that 5 months later, we're still in, oh, we're trying to be transparent. We're trying to be accountable, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sick of it. And Mr. Garch, your June 4th minutes still aren't here. All your nonsense that you tell us that, oh, I'm sorry, August 25th, they're not up. It's my fault. I sent it into Christine Stites. I sent it into Erin Mangan again. Get with it, people. Erin, I thought you were going to speak up about Mr. Gartz not being on the screen. This is outrageous. This guy's going to be in charge of $77 million as chair of F&F, and he can't put a green screen behind him? You got to be kidding.
Ms. Cross, you're not on the screen either.
Nobody's on the screen but you guys. Nobody's on the screen.
We have had people do that.
Oh, God, you got to be kidding.
No, I'm not.
It's just so, it goes on and on and on. Everybody wants to just move on, continue to injure the kids, and you do it over and over again, and then you get new people on that do the same thing.
That's a false statement. Nobody's injuring children, for the
Get
record.
these reports out there. I submitted to have my son paid for that Fine Arts Academy. I heard nothing back. I said, confirm you've received it. Start paying for these children. It's outrageous. What else? Yeah, Rampart Construction. Mr. Smythe, who was your broker back in 2011? I'm sure you've looked that up by now because you said you filed for insurance. Who was your broker back then in 2011?
Ms. Cross, it's time for you to make comments, not cross-examine people.
Yeah, I just want to check. I know there were some documents that were shredded in the business office in the week of October 23rd. If Mr. Smythe can let us know what was being shredded in the office, I'd appreciate if he could go on the record and let us know. Mr. Smythe?
Ms. Cross, do you have anything else?
Okay, Mr. Smythe, yes or no? Were you shredding documents
Ms.
in the
Cross,
business
again,
office?
it's not time
He can answer
to
the
interrogate
question.
people.
He can answer. Sure.
Hey,
he can.
Mrs. Cross, I'm going to direct that Mr. Smythe not answer that question. Please finish your public comment.
Okay, so make sure you get that.
No. Just be respectful of the Board of Education at this point, because I'm sitting here listening to you go around the room and insult everybody. Please make your comment and then be done. And I'm going to direct that Mr. Smythe not answer your question.
Okay, good, because he's going to answer.
Okay, Ms. Cross, thank you. Your 5 minutes is up.
For that.
Okay. Jen?
Hi. Good evening, everybody. This is Jennifer Sy. I just have one question in regards to curriculum. Are we in the process of doing a hiring for the director of curriculum for either the director position or the one at Wall Intermediate School that was vacated at the end of last year? Can anyone give an update on that for me?
Did you have anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Henry, you want to address that at the end? Can you touch on that? Okay. Ms. Campbell?
Hi, good evening. Jamie Lynn Campbell. I am the WTA Grievance Chair and Secretary. I just have two things. One, it looks like as if a policy may have changed to allow ESPs to hold positions typically held by certificated staff members. If that is the case due to the pandemic, we are thrilled that the board sees the value of our ESPs. Just want to know if anyone can talk to that point. And also, we see that two resolutions pertaining to Elizabeth Gregory and Joanna Murray to be teachers in the district. There are two resolutions for that. If the need for the resolutions can be explained, we would appreciate it so that if our members have questions, we can respond to them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Gene?
Gene DeLucio, first vice president of the WTA. Just speaking on behalf of the WTA, we'd like to take a minute to commend our district nurses for the fantastic job they're doing during this unprecedented time. With this, unfortunately, they're drowning with their current workload. The WTA implores the board to hire 2 additional nurses to help alleviate their current workload. They're working until like past 9 o'clock at night on a daily basis with doing their contact tracing. So 2 additional nurses would exponentially help them out. So just want to put that on your guys' plate. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Hi, I'm Madigan, treasurer of the WTEA. I'm just speaking on behalf for our members. We were promised in an email that we would be receiving information on the open enrollment for the new health plan, that it would be in all of our members' hands by Monday. We still have yet to receive any information of that plan. As promised for that, the paperwork again would have come out to us by Monday. We just feel that every day that we are pushed back, that we hope that that date can be adjusted on the back end. Again, we are okay if it is pushed. We just feel that it would be, again, people need to read through things, make sure that they are well informed with the time for those decisions. So if it is not readily available to us in the time that it was said it would be, that we just ask that it's considered to be pushed back on the other end as well, just making sure that our members have ample time to read through and are able to know what is the best thing for them.
That's it?
Yep, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Trying to unmute you. There you are. Ms. Sayers, how are you? Good evening.
I'm great. How are you, Ralph?
Good. Oh,
Kathy
and you have the
Sayers
camera on. Thank you.
Kathy Sayers with the WTEA. We would like the board to know that the WTEA has done some investigating on the square footage that the custodians can effectively clean. Per industrial standards, per custodial shift, the square footage is 17,500. After we did the analysis, the WTEA realizes we are short 7 custodians. We know times are hard and money is short. We recommend the district hire 3 custodians as soon as possible. This will effectively help the health and safety of the district. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. Ms. Marr?
Good evening, Gail Marr, WTEA President. I just first want to give a shout out to all of the WTEA members and the outstanding job that they are doing in these trying times. I especially want to thank the custodians and the nurses that are extremely working shorthanded when both of their job responsibilities are keeping the doors of the school opened. The WTEA has been advised that everyone on the dais agrees we need more custodians, and we want to emphasize we feel it's crucial to find these people as soon as possible. Regarding the nurses, we are at a critical moment in time. When we look at the color of our area in the state, we're desperately hanging on to yellow. And if we move to orange, all other kinds of things could happen. We have positive numbers in the 4,000s. The WTEA is extremely proud that there is no case spread within the schools. We are doing everything we can to keep those doors open. How is it possible? Our nurses are working around the clock, and I believe somebody earlier, maybe Jean said 9. I know for a fact that some nights have been to 11, that they are working, doing the contact tracing, making sure it's completely done on everything that's presented to them. We are told there's no money to increase our contracted nursing staff, and we hope that we can do something little to help find the money and resolve the issue. We had a stipend, a sidebar that was requested through our director of curriculum for elementary instructional technology teachers. And we understand that that was in the works for about a year now, although we just found out about it within the last couple of weeks. In our heart, we don't feel that we can help spend money in any other spot right now when there's no money to spend on more nurses. We hope it's a temporary issue and that sidebar could be presented, but right now we do not feel that our efforts should be going to anything other than spending money on health and safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Mr. Gartz.
Thank you. I appreciate the WTA's presence this evening and bringing up the topics of the nurses and the custodians. And I just want to assure them that this board has been talking about that since they brought it to our attention 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago. We went into committee and we brought it back to the board. And while we wish we could hire them yesterday, we want to do it right. We want to do it well. We want to do it within the reasonable budgetary situation. So we hear you and it's being addressed. It's just obviously not moving as fast as you would like. And I understand that, but we are addressing it and you should hear something very soon about both topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gartz. Dr. Handerhan, just a couple things. Maybe you could address that was
in particular, the position of Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Okay. When Dr. Gleason moved on to the Department of Education, her position by title is Director of Curriculum and Instruction. She assumed all of those responsibilities, but the job title that probably matched really best matched her function in the school district is one of assistant superintendent. In fact, she even worked under the license of assistant superintendent. Currently, I am interviewing for interim assistant superintendents. Interim meaning interim positions are typically filled by people that have retired from the field and are working on the short term until a permanent position can be properly advertised, resumes vetted, interview process through committees. So I'm in the process right now of interviewing for that incredibly important position. That said, another part of the question was about an intermediate school supervisor, I believe. That was the position that was referenced. All of the one of the charges that I'm looking at is to look at the administrative duties, assignments throughout the district, and to make recommendations. And I'm hoping to be able to move forward with my thoughts and recommendations. I'm working actively on this with the Board of Education. More to follow. And I would like, because I believe Ms. Tsai asked the question, her questions are very much rooted in curriculum instruction, and I did want to echo that is something that is incredibly valued, the positions of curriculum instruction. And I can say I can certainly share my bias, because I spent a great deal of time in my career as a director of curriculum and as a curriculum supervisor. So with that, more to come. But to answer the most immediate piece of that question is I am actively interviewing. I had advertised that I'm in the process of interviewing for an interim assistant superintendent that will manage the curriculum and instruction.
And Dr. Handergan, the ESPs, can you talk about that?
The ESPs, as far as we have, as we've gone through some board meetings, we actually changed the internal processes for, hiring substitutes with a substitute certificate. There are many, we want to be inclusive, and we need the support during this very difficult time. We have advertised for substitute school nurses as we work on a more long-term solution. If there's any, the qualifications that for a school nurse substitute is an up-to-date RN license and a county office substitute certificate. And if anyone is interested, please contact our Human Resources Department, and we can absolutely help you secure a substitute certificate. So there's we want to be inclusive, and there's a lot of people in this community that are willing to reach out and help the community, because every single person is here vested for the kids, and many members of the community want to support our efforts as well.
Thank you. And just a question for Mr. Smythe. The open enrollment, that'll be going out to all the members, correct?
Yes, we were hopeful to have it out at the beginning of this week, and we scheduled a 3-week open enrollment period. We hope to be able to provide the information by the end of the week. We were just waiting on some clarification with regard to the law as it applies to our district, and no problem extending the date so that the staff members have sufficient time to review the information that's being provided and to make a decision on which health plan they want moving forward.
And Mr. Smythe, with that, is there a particular date that open enrollment has to be closed by? Is it typically 3 weeks, or is this just something that the district follows?
No, I mean, the open enrollment could be a week, 2 weeks, or it could be a month. When we have an annual open enrollment, we try to do it for a month. That would be in May for July 1 start. This is a special open enrollment due to the new educators health plan that is being made available, and that is effective as of January 2021. And this gives the opportunity of any employee that was employed prior to July 1, 2020 to choose to enroll in the plan, but also it requires that if they want to maintain their current benefits, that they actively do so. We're doing that in the form of a survey. So that will be an easily answered yes on the survey that will be provided. And for those that are considering it, the information going out is going to be able to give them a side-by-side comparison with all the plans that are available. They'll be able to enter their annual salary, the number of months they work a year, whether they are 10-month or 12-month employees, and it'll calculate the premium they will be required to contribute for each one of the plans, trying to make it as easy as possible for them to compare the different plans that are available.
And if they have additional questions, they can contact our broker, Brown and Brown.
They can, or they can forward the questions to either myself or Donnelly Bass, our business services coordinator in the business office. That information will be made available to them. Any questions that are received by the business office will be addressed and disseminated to all the staff in the district so that everyone's aware of the responses being provided, similar to like a frequently asked questions. If there's additional information or sessions that need to be held for the benefit of the employees, we can do that with Brown and Brown, our broker of record, in the form of a Zoom meeting.
Okay, thank you. With that,
If I can just point out one other thing, since
yes.
I was grilled on a number of questions, and I appreciate the advice of counsel, so I'm not answering anything specific. However, the district does, on an annual basis, archive and discard records in accordance with the records retention schedule, as you know, that's stipulated by the state. That's an ongoing process that is done on an annual basis, and it's all in accordance with the records retention and the Government Records Council.
Thank you, Mr. Smythe. Mr. Hall, you had something?
Yeah, I think we did a good job of answering all the questions tonight. I think there was one from Mrs. Campbell about the resolutions to be the teachers. I didn't get an answer.
Oh, that
on
was the ESPs, right?
Well, that was kind of, but then I thought it was the second part B was about the resolution.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can address that. I had neglected to mention that. The resolutions in particular, one was fairly complex. And Ms. Campbell, please reach out to me if you want some clarification, or the person that it is in reference to. When we opened the virtual school, we had some people that were going on leave after a certain amount of time. The resolutions, people that may have been assigned to a building under their normal assignment, if they were going on leave, one person in particular going on leave was moved to a virtual school, and the person was assigned to the permanent position. And so the person that is working to cover someone actually worked in two separate positions. So we had to reflect that part of it was the first leg of the assignment, which was already in the past, was considered a temporary position because it was a result of it was a result of virtual school, but it wasn't a virtual assignment. So that was one piece. And the second piece is to reconcile the actual proper leave itself in the brick and mortar school. So it's a complicated answer. I don't know if that makes sense. So please feel free, Ms. Campbell, call my office tomorrow and I can give you a much more detailed description, probably with a visual aid.
Thank you. Right. Joe, did you have anything else for tonight?
No, I think that was it.
Okay.
I think we answered all the questions that the public addressed to us based on my notes. So I think we're good.
Yeah, I had resolution written down, but I missed that. Thank you. Christine, did you have anything?
I think a couple quick things. Really proud of the students of the month and the Knights of the week and all of our sports teams and all of our students in general who are keeping on and getting some stuff done, doing great in school, doing the best they can, and trying to keep up with a good attitude. I really appreciate the students. I know, at the end of the day, this is why we're all here. So they're doing a great job. I'm very proud of how the district has managed the mercury issue in the South gym floor. I think Dr. Lynch did an outstanding job with his report. And I hope that everybody does have an opportunity to take a look at those reports. And I'm personally proud of how the district has handled the communication with the public. And I hope that they realize that this is indicative of how the district is trying to communicate with our stakeholders. As far as everything else, all I can say is I hope everybody realizes that the members of the Board of Education, while we're elected officials, we're not here as politicians. We're here as committed members of the community working on behalf of the kids. I absolutely have a backbone. I can speak for myself, and I can speak for the members of the board that I've known now since I've been here in January. We all have a backbone. This is really about working together, and I hope that we can try not to be divisive, because at the end of the day, we all want to get to the same place. We want to get the kids back in. The Board of Education represents our kids. We also represent the 700 members of the staff who work in our building. There are a lot of different things that we have to take into consideration. And we also have to follow what the directions of the government are. So let's try to remember that as we move forward. I know it's frustrating. I work in healthcare. I do COVID all day long when I go to work. So I understand there's a lot of different things happening, and we just want to keep everybody safe. And I'm hoping that we can kind of all get back working as a team. And that really does mean everybody. And that's all I've got. I hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Christine. Ken, did you have anything?
Yeah, the one person that is never in the conversation of any of this stuff is the governor. And the governor passes edicts all the time, at least one a week, several a week. And we have to knee-jerk to those reports. It has nothing to do with backbone. It has to do with complying with the law. The other thing I wanted to mention was, and this is for the superintendent, I checked into the Lisa's law, keeping our students safe on the internet, and I really, after going through all my self investigation and analysis, the IT department did an excellent job on this, protecting the kids in this school system. I just want to say that. I had to get involved in that with all these new apps and all these new things. It's pretty much covered more than I ever expected. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Erin?
I just want to mention, as a teacher who now is currently working virtual until November 30th, it is not an easy task to be doing on a daily basis. We, as an educator, we're there working with our students all day long, but the planning and the grading, so to say, or giving students feedback, it happens after school hours, because then we're actively engaged with our students during the day, so we have that connection that we don't have on in-person learning. So while there may be this idea that virtual seems a little bit easier, it's not. I would, educators would much rather be in the classroom with their students, having that in-person connection with them, and really seeing their growth, in person. It's very difficult. So, I really support all the faculty who are doing the best that they can to continue to be able to have our students in person in the buildings. I really appreciate everything you're doing in the district. In regards to Ms. Cadigan's comment earlier about the educator's health benefits plan, I definitely highly recommend, you coordinate something with Brown and Brown, because, having a Zoom meeting, a live Zoom meeting with them to get information in person is a little bit more in depth than what you would see comparing and contrasting plans versus paper or formulas. I feel like it gives you a wealth of knowledge. It also gives you a connection with a broker who's providing services for the district. So you really want to take advantage of that as well. And that is really all. So I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving as well, too.
Thank you. Adam, do you have anything?
Not really tonight. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and hope you have a great time doing whatever you do. Be safe, but have a healthy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Andy?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I want to echo what everyone else has already said, which is thank you to everybody from Dr. Handerhan down through every level of the school district and in the schools. All of you are doing a tremendous job and under difficult circumstances. And we have our children's health and safety first and foremost, all of us. Maybe we don't all agree on what that should look like, but as Ken said, there are some things that are being dictated to us and we have to follow the law. And nothing is easy now. And I think that's the misconception that it's easy to just make a decision. It is not. And I think in terms of that, I would like to just say that public service falls in that same category. So to Chris, Christine, and Ken, thank you very much for stepping up again, and congratulations on your re-election to the board. Erin, your congratulations is for something else to the town council. It's nice to know that we'll have somebody there that can relate to this position as well. And, you know, maybe we can look at something jointly when things allow for that, because right now it's COVID, COVID, COVID. And I have the distinction of being on the curriculum committee and some others, and it just does not seem like there's a whole lot of room for anything but keeping the boats floating. And we're fortunate because our boat was floating and was making progress. There are many districts, sadly, that were not, and were maybe sinking and taking on water. So this COVID has exploded those inequities in education. And we do have to be thankful that we are in the position that we had one-on-one. And this is where, to the board's credit, that was a decision that was made prior to some of us, and the support for that continues. And we were able to do the virtual. The districts that weren't prepared for that. We had the success of hiring first an interim superintendent, then a permanent superintendent. Again, during COVID. Do you have any idea what that entails? And if not, buy me a coffee, all right? But these are successes of our districts. And it's important that we acknowledge them, that we've had successful negotiations. Again, past boards and this board's involvement. But there was a lot to celebrate and to be thankful for. I just want us to keep the focus on that when the doom and gloom comes into the picture. The trailers, okay, they're gone. There's investigation going on, fine, let it happen. The other things that come up, this board does not shy away from and is not sweeping under the carpet. Somebody said before that, I think it was Russell, that some of the sentiments that are being expressed or the questions that are coming up from the gallery, we're concerned about as well. And I can't speak as for the board, but as an individual, we get those emails, we hear what you say, and we take it to heart and we ask the questions. That's what our role is. We're not to run the schools. We don't do that. We're to see that the schools are run well. And until we know otherwise, we will keep our eye on the prize. And that's basically it. Stay safe, be mindful of what the guidance is so that you can come back and be safe. And thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Russell, did you have anything?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Chris, you have anything?
Sure, a couple things. I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I want to wish the sports teams, I congratulate them on their great seasons, but also I know those coaches are probably telling those athletes to finish strong. So finish strong, boys and girls, and good luck. I just want to say, echo some of the comments on the nurses in our district and our teachers. And our administrators and our superintendent. We are trying to, keep kids in school. We're trying to keep these schools open. It is a slippery slope with COVID. My concern, my personal concern is that if, closures happen, it's really hard to start, revving those engines up again and getting back. And that's, those are things that, keep me up at night, and I'm sure keep Dr. Handerhan up all waking hours of day and night and many times in between. But I know that, she's really doing a great job, trying to keep trying to keep everybody, together on this. I would also say that, from the meetings we had, the other day, sometimes, some of those positions that we fill are referrals from people, right? So if we have folks that, are in district that know of, we can fill those nursing positions and those janitorial positions. Hopefully we can send some smoke signals out to those folks, and please, once, we get it situated, we can hopefully get that squared away. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So just a couple things. Chris stole a couple of my topics, but again, thank you to our nurses, the custodians, our teachers, our administration, our support personnel, our paras, our rep employees. Every person that comes into our school and is an employee in our district is doing their part in keeping our students safe and keeping everybody in school. And for people on the outside, maybe they don't, it might be a little hard to see it and understand it. But when you start looking at the numbers and each individual's job and what they do, it really pulls it all together, and you understand the hard work that goes into it. And, we all know being teachers and working in a school district is not the easiest job in the world, and certainly has a lot of challenges. And then you throw in a pandemic. And for us to be able to do the things we're doing, it's good, and it shows the dedication of our staff. So I want to thank you for that. And transportation, I don't know if I mentioned transportation, because you know what? They're the first ones that see your kids in the morning and the last ones to see them at the end of the day. And they do a phenomenal job. Also, just like to mention, anybody that's going away for Thanksgiving, pretty much every state now is, I think Vermont was just added, but pretty much every state is considered a hotspot for New Jersey. And if you go, they want you to come back from quarantine. We can't stress enough how important it is that if your child wakes up in the morning and doesn't feel right, has a little bit of a runny nose, a fever, even if you think they have seasonal allergies, and unfortunately today we can't be sure. So we just ask you, just do the right thing, keep them home, and let it play out. That way it keeps our schools open and keeps everybody safe. Thank you, or good luck actually to all our teams that are in the playoffs. Boys, girls soccer, girls field hockey, and football on Friday night. These athletes, certainly a tough year for the students, and for them to be able to pull out these accomplishments on the field is just remarkable. And also with our Knights and Students of the Month, Knights of the Week, Students of the Month, very difficult times, and they're continuing to forge ahead and do great things. And with that, I just want to say, everybody, please continue to be safe and have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. And hopefully next month, we look ahead. Maybe we have better news next month on the front of COVID and everything else. Mr. Smythe, did you have anything else for this evening?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Handrahan, did you have anything to close us out?
Nope, just I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, great. Okay, with that, could we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make-
Motion by Andy, second by Russell. All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Stay safe.